Hi everyone, this is Daimalu Brahma. I'm an assistant professor of history in Birjhora Kanya Mahavidyalaya, which is located in Assam, that is India. So for the conference, I have chosen the topic Women in Conflict Situations in Northeast India. Okay, let us start with the first slide. Now introduction. See, India gained independence from the British rule in the year 1947. And since 1947, we have seen various insurgency movements in Northeast India in the various states, like for example, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, and even in Arunachal Pradesh, Tripura. So likewise, in many states of Northeast India, we could see many violent movements, activities taking place right after the independence movement. And in those insurgency movements, let's say for example, in any violent movement or in war, we know the worst sufferers are the women and also the children. And basically in this paper we are going to see how women and children are the worst sufferers, and also how women actively participated in the peace making processes between the insurgent groups and the state authorities. And here we are also going to analyze the traumatic experience of those women who had to undergo because of such violent insurgent movements, basically in Northeast India. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Purpose. See, the purpose of this paper is to examine the impact of insurgency movement on women in Northeast India. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, representation of members of violence, which means memories can play a vital role in the expression of traumatic event. Those traumatic events or experiences of violence can be narrated orally, or they can be depicted or presented in the literatures. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Women's organization and agencies. See, there were various women organizations and agencies in Northeast India which fought against the state authorities for their rights and for their, their for their rights and also for their equal opportunity in the society. So first of all, we shall take the example of Mira Paivis. This Mira Paivis is an women's organization which is operated in Manipur. And we have another organization representative of women's organization in Nagaland, that is Naga Women Association. Naga Mother Association. And even in Assam, we have another women organization or an agency known as Mahila Santi Sena. Let's move on to the next slide. Women writing as a response to violence. So there are numerous, women writers. For example, like Orupa Patanjia Kolita, who wrote or who authored the book known as Filani. And we have another one from Assam, that is Lakshminath Bezborua, who has authored the book Badari. And we have another woman author known as Veena Das, who has written The Figure of the Abducted Woman, the Citizen as Sexual. So those women writers in their writing, in those literature, in their books, they have narrated the traumatic experiences as well as their psychological as well as their emotional feelings which they had undergone as a result of the violent insurgency movement taking place in the northeastern states of India after the independence in the year 1947. Let's move on to the next. Use of bodies as a language of protest. There are numerous incidents and examples where women use their bodies as a language of protest against the state authorities. They have come to the forefront of the movement. They have come to the forefront as a sign of protest against the government authorities or the state authorities. There are numerous examples, and one important fact is that there is a special act known as Armed Forces Special Power Act, which we call it in the short form as AFSPA in Northeast India. And this particular AFSPA, that is Armed Forces Special Power Act, is particularly most predominantly working in Manipur. This is a special power act given to the defense forces by which if any suspect, they can automatically, without any questioning, they can shoot down the suspected person. See, this is a harsh AFSPA act which the government had introduced. So basically in Manipur and Nagaland, especially in those two states, women have been protesting for the repeal of this particular act, because through this act there has been many instances of rape by the defense authorities, by the defense personnel in the states of Manipur and also in Nagaland and in other northeastern states of India. See, there are two images of women in conflict. That is, the woman in conflict is the victim, and also we can call them as an Amazon, which means they are also victory. Means both they can be represented as victim as well as the victors. See, in the year 2014, in the month of July, massive protest was organized in Manipur, especially by the women's organization, by the women's wing in the month of July in the year 2014. Massive protest. There have been a naked protest against the state authorities, which means the government in Manipur, because of the killing of Manorama. Manorama was killed just because she was suspected to be the Maoist terrorist. Just being a suspect, she was killed brutally in Manipur in July 2014. And we have another example, that is Iron Sormila in Manipur. She has been fasting unto death. She has been fasting because of the AFSPA act, because this is a very harsh act which by any suspect, an army personnel or a defense personnel can kill the suspected person just because of the suspect is a Maoist terrorist or an insurgent group. Madurama was killed in Manipur in the year 2014 in July, and just because of that, there has been many women's protests in Manipur against the government. They have been protesting naked as a sign of protest against the state government, and particularly for the repeal of APSPA Act. So we shall move on to the next slide. The mother figure, yes, the woman has been represented as mother figure in a traditional construction. Let's say woman's role as a mother during the violence. See, when during the insurgent movements, the the male partners, I mean the main, has to move outside of the house. They have to hide in the jungles, forests, because of the disturbances, and women and children are only left in the house. So in that case, the women change the social structure by by earning themselves for the support of home, for their needs. So in the absence of their male partner, women has been supporting their and earning for their livelihood and also to feed their children. So, and women's role as a mother during the violence, they have been acting as a guardian, as a mother during the violent activities during the insurgent movement. Next slide. Yes, conclusion. So from the above discussion and from the research paper that I have submitted, we can see that the violent activity, that is the insurgent movement, has severely affected the women folk and also the children. So it means the worst sufferers are the women and children in any sort of violent movement or in war. And in most cases, as I have already spoken, women has been the victims of rape, not only rape but also abduction, kidnapping, and also brutal killing. And from the conclusion, we have also from the above discussion, we have also seen that women also adopted the idea of motherhood to regain their identity. Thank you.